Who are these guys?
Sherlock Holmes.
And?
Watson.
Brilliant, that's great. What are they famous for?
Being in a book.
Being in a book. What do they do in the book? What do they do in the book?
They
Solve crimes, fantastic. They solve crimes. Sherlock Holmes' job is basically to go into any given situation and be completely right about what's going on, when everyone else is either completely wrong or haven't even realised there's a problem in the first place. But there's one thing that Sherlock Holmes is always wrong about. Anyone read the stories here? Yeah. So you'll know, so as you read the stories, one of the things he's always doing is grumbling about Dr. Watson. And in particular, he's grumbling about how badly Dr. Watson tells the stories of his investigations. He thinks that Watson sensationalises them. He thinks that Watson misses the really important points. He thinks that Watson's stories are really a bit of a waste of space. He's been a major character in fiction for about 100 years. He's been turned into movies, he's been turned into TV series. People still read those stories for pleasure. He is absolutely wrong about Dr. Watson's stories, because it's Dr. Watson's stories that actually make him immortal. And that's what stories do. They take dry knowledge, they take dry information, and turn it into unforgettable things. And that is because neuroscience. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, because I've only got about 15 minutes. But if you give people a series of facts, that triggers the information, the language processing parts of your brain, and that's about it. If you tell people a story, you engage them, you involve them, and all the different parts of their brain start firing up. The emotional parts of their brain, the empathy parts of their brain. In some ways, it's like they're experiencing what you're telling them about themselves. And that's why stories go so deep, and why Dr. Watson's stories work so well. If Sherlock Holmes told us about his investigations, we get a series of bullet points, and you would not remember them. With Dr. Watson telling the stories, it's like you're there yourselves. You experience them, you live them. And that's why brand storytelling is so important. It brings the why to life in an utterly memorable, utterly unforgettable way. And it helps the audience you're talking to experience the why for themselves. I know about this stuff because I began my storytelling career working in film. And that was my life. That's a mountain of feature film scripts. I had to kind of deal with those things, read them, critically analyse them, all of that. I've written 2 science fiction novels and a lot of short stories, so I've done a lot of practical storytelling. And I've worked with a lot of brands over the years as well, there's some of them. And I've kind of helped them work out who they are, how they talk to the world about themselves and what they say. And there's always storytelling involved in that. And what I'm going to do today is 3 things. First of all, I'm going to reveal the basic secrets of story structure. So after the next slide, you will literally be able to go off, write your own novels, write your own film scripts, whatever. So that's part 1. Once I've done that, I'm going to talk a bit about tone of voice. I'm going to talk about how you tell your story, because the language you choose can make a big difference to how you come across. So we'll touch on that. And then finally, I'll talk about genre. When you think about fiction, you think about genres like horror, science fiction, fantasy, realist novels, whatever. And those genres can be really useful when you're thinking about brand storytelling as well. So that's what I'm going to tell you about. And that's it. That's the total secret of storytelling. I'll stop now, thank you very much. Right. So every single story, pretty much, is structured in this way. Hero wants to do something, hero can't do something, hero does something. They're driven by what we as storytellers call motivation, what you would call the why, the purpose, and they're driven to overcome problems to achieve something specific, to create a specific kind of change in the world. Every single story is built like this. So Star Wars, Luke Skywalker wants to rescue Princess Leia, can't rescue Princess Leia, rescues Princess Leia. That's it, it's true, isn't it? Elizabeth Bennet, Pride and Prejudice, wants to marry someone she loves and has found for herself, can't marry someone she loves and has found for herself, marries someone she loves and has found for herself. And as storytellers, your challenge is to take this very basic structure and to turn it into a rich, complex, and involving story. But very many stories are built like this. This is what you always come back to. And this structure can be very helpful when you're telling stories about your brand. It can help you tell a story about your company or your brand, or it can help you understand a consumer story and understand how you can play a really important role within that. And that's something this guy knows very well. This guy is Stuart Butterfield, founder of Slack. Slack are astonishing. I mean, they're obviously a wonderful app, very helpful. A lot of my engagement with Wired Sussex and the Fusebox is through Slack channels. Everyone is using it. 6 months, within 8 months of its launch, with no advertising budget and no marketing officer on board, it was worth $1 billion. And that's because Slack itself is brilliant, but Stuart Butterfield is very good at telling stories. And he's particularly good at telling the foundation story of Slack. And he structures that in exactly that way. When he talks about Slack and how it began, he says, right, well, we wanted to find a way of helping people work together on the internet in a positive, fun, enjoyable way. So we want to do something. We tried to do that by building a game. We were a games development company, the game's called Glitch, I think. Didn't really work, because we weren't very good at building games. So here's an obstacle, here's something we couldn't do. We're trying to do something very important, we can't do it. We then realised that as we were doing that, we'd accidentally built an app to communicate between ourselves. And because we were building a game, we'd made it fun and playful and enjoyable to use. And that app became Slack. And Slack helps people have fun and work together in a positive, constructive way. So you can see how he's structured that story. He's built the story in a way that you think, oh yeah, here's a real problem that needs solving. It's quite difficult to solve, there are a lot of obstacles out there. Oh brilliant, here's a solution to it. And I understand why that solution is so good and what it achieves and what's important about it. And it works when you're thinking about your consumers. So, this is Weber. I am a Weber obsessive, I love barbecuing, I think there are lots of barbecue. And they've clearly thought a lot about consumer stories. They've thought about where their consumers are. Person with barbecue. Person with barbecue wants to barbecue food, wants to take, and I apologise for showing you this so early in the morning. It's kind of horrible, isn't it? Are you strongly motivated to do something about this horrible piece of chicken? Yeah? Good storytelling. Motivation. Why? Take this slightly horrible ingredient, turn it into something wonderful. Their customers need to take something a bit horrible, overcome a set of obstacles. I don't have a decent barbecue. I will buy a Weber barbecue. I don't know how to use this barbecue. I will buy the Weber cookbook. Oh my God, the barbecue gets so hot. Ah, brilliant. Weber tongs. Where's my charcoal? Weber charcoal. They've thought through all the different stages of their consumer journey. They've built a story around where the consumer is the hero trying to produce wonderful food. Then they thought, right, how do we help them overcome those obstacles? And end up with beautiful chicken on the other side. So let me just repress this and imagine that wonderful chicken. Do you want to eat that wonderful chicken on the other side? No, well, maybe not. If you're not, this never worked to the Brighton audience. But you see the point. You see what they've done. They've thought about the consumer's story. They've thought about the obstacles the consumer has to overcome, and they've thought about how they're going to get them over them. So that's basically narrative structure, how to use it in branding. Tone of voice. So going back to Elizabeth Bennet, do you guys recognise this? It's the first sentence of Pride and Prejudice. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. And you read that, and just the language, even before you've got to the meaning, makes me think, okay, so this is quite a formal sentence, so I'm probably going to be reading a book about quite formal people. The language is a bit archaic, so it's probably kind of Victorian, something like that. Okay, it's about a husband and a wife, or a man and a wife. Okay, it's probably going to be a love story of some description. So just from the language, just from a few words, you're getting a good sense of what they're going to be talking about. Now, if we change the language, we can radically alter that. Check this out. Everybody knows that a single geezer with a bit of the old Bugs Bunny in the tank got to get himself a Duchess of Fife. So, can you see what's happened there? Apart from me doing a terrible mockery accent. What's happened there is this is exactly the same set of ideas. I haven't changed the structure of the sentences at all. I haven't changed anything but the words that express the sentence. I've moved from a kind of posh Victorian tone to a very Cockney tone. But just that small change implies that we're going to be listening to a radically different story. It's probably going to be set somewhere in East London or South London. It's probably going to involve very different groups of people. They're going to interact in very different ways. And it'll be much more EastEnders, much less Jane Austen. And we've done that not by changing the ideas there, but by changing the language on the page. You can have the best product in the world, you can have the best content in the world, you can have the best people in the world trying to sell it. If you get your language wrong, if your language doesn't match the people you're talking to or the story you're trying to tell, it will kind of break what you're trying to do. As these guys know. Who would you rather have selling your product? Steve Jobs or Doc Brown? Steve Jobs, yeah, absolutely. Doc Brown is actually a really good communicator, and what's it? When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, then you'll see some serious shit. It's actually a brilliant product description, but the problem, it's not really right for the corporate environment. Steve Jobs is a fantastically good communicator. communicator, because he's clearly thought, or when he was alive, he clearly thought an awful lot about tone of voice, about what's the best language to use to communicate my massive technological advances to a general audience, first of all of journalists, and secondly of people who are actually going to buy and use this stuff. And he always steers very, very clear of technical language, of jargon, of anything like that. He keeps things really simple and stripped down. He focuses hugely on the benefits. His mastery of tone of voice is absolute. He understands the audience he's speaking to. He crafts his language according to what they want to hear. He would never write Pride and Prejudice in Cockney style because he knows that would break the story word. So that's kind of number two. The whole tone of voice thing is a sort of huge field to go into. There's lots of nitty-gritty about how you use language, how you build sentences, how you structure paragraphs, stuff like that. I've actually put it in a handout on my website that I'll link to on the end, but if I started talking about it now, we'd be here for about 2 hours, so I apologise for that. But just hopefully that makes the point. How you tell the story is as important as what's in the story. And finally, genre. Stories are about things that happen. By definition. And you've seen how 3-act structure works. The hero wants to do something, can't do something, does something. Now we're going to do the whole history of genre in one slide. Behold! So, this is basically how I understand genre to work in fiction. You've got stories about things that do happen. So that's kind of realist fiction. You know, that's fiction set in the past or the present, which is about the world as it is now. You've got stories about things that could happen. That's science fiction. Science fiction is all about, oh, if this technological advance happened, what would happen next? What could happen in our world? Then you've got stories about things that never happen. That's fantasy. And the whole point of fantasy is that it has impossible things in it. Dragons, magicians, wizards. You might meet a robot in real life, you know, an actual thinking robot if you live long enough. You will never ever meet Gandalf. Gandalf cannot exist in our world in a way that robots can. And finally, you've got things that shouldn't happen, and that's horror. Horror is all about things you really don't want to happen, and watching them is kind of agonising, but it's kind of cathartic as well. So that's my kind of basic thing of genre. That's how I feel genre works. And genre is very useful when you start telling brand stories about products. They can help you think about your product, your brand, what you do for people in all sorts of different ways. And I always use the example of Robertson for this. I worked with them a few years back. And Robertson are a brilliant, brilliant company, and they tell all those different kinds of stories. They tell stories about things that do happen. So their brochures, the instructions on their tins are about how people use their products, what happens when you use the products, how to get the most out of them. They're actually a very heavy-duty technology company. You wouldn't know because they're very good at not talking about the technology. They have a fantastic research department. All their products are very advanced. And so when they look ahead, when they're saying what kind of products should we research, you know, how should we take advantage of changing consumer needs, the changing climate, all sorts of different factors, they tell science fiction stories about things that could happen. They like to tell fantasy stories as well. A lot of their more extreme branding, and a lot of marketing and branding and advertising in general trades in fantasy, trades in imaginary and impossible things. So for example, they were, how do we promote our shed painting products? They're really boring. Okay, well let's imagine, let's have a bit of fantasy here. What if your favourite comedian could come and play a gig in your shed? How would that work? Brilliant. Okay, that's great. We'll make it happen. That'll be our next promotion. Obviously, it's something that kind of could happen, but in general terms, it's a bit of a fantasy. And all their products, they can be very toxic, very dangerous indeed if you use them in the wrong way. So they're actually very good at telling themselves horror stories about things they don't want to happen with their products. And then they can say, okay, how do we help people avoid that? How do we make sure that doesn't happen? And through that, through telling all those kind of different kinds of stories about what it is they do, they communicate a very well-rounded sense of who they are, what their products are for, and they think through every different part of their consumer journeys. So, that's genre. And that's basically, for me, that's the kind of practical how to tell your brand as a story. Tell your brand is a 3-act story, one that's all about hero wants to do something, hero can't do something, hero does something. Use the right tone. Get your tone of voice right. Think about the language you're going to use that's going to reach the people you're talking to in the right way. And finally, use all of the genres. Don't just tell realist stories. Tell science fiction stories, tell fantasy stories, even tell horror stories about what you want to avoid. And then you'll be telling your brand as a story. And I've got resources that sum this up. So if you go to alrobertson.co.uk resources, there's kind of a lot more detail about all this if you want to dig into it. There'll be new stuff going up there over the next few weeks, but a couple of things there at the moment. And yeah, that's it. And the real point of stories is everyone's a storyteller. We're all telling stories all the time. We all live in stories. So the real point of this is for me to stop talking and say, right, it's over to you lot now. You can go and write a book, But you've also got great brands to tell stories about, so get out there and tell those stories.